Hi everyone. So this is actually take two because I couldn't find Sherrie anywhere, or Sherrie couldn't find me, and then I realized I forgot to tag her. So now we're gonna see if it works, because now I tagged her in the description, and see if that works, and she can find me. And this is just me being really nervous because I just talked for 5 minutes into space. There she is. Okay, so this is gonna work. Perfect. Okay, Sherrie, stay there. I'm going to do my introduction and then I'll invite you. Just give me a second. Okay, so welcome to the first Heart to Heart interview. This is going to be an interview series that I want to do. I want to have honest conversations about the writing process with fellow writers, because writing can be such a lonely experience that it's so, like, I've known that from my own experiences. I was always a secretive writer, like nobody knew I was writing. And from the moment I found my tribe, my clan, my community, whatever you want to call it, it was such a healing process for me, like the sharing of stories, the sharing of struggles, the sharing of celebration, that I've realized how important community is. And since then, I've always been attracted to writing communities. I'm trying to connect writers myself. Like, I have my accountability group, my clients as well. I keep telling them, like, you need to, like, if they do this alone, like, don't do this alone. Share with people. Share your struggles, listen to other people's struggles, see what resonates. Hi, Stephanie. It's actually working right now, so welcome back. So this is the reason that I wanted to have this interview series, because I wanted to create a safe space where I can talk with fellow writers about their writing process, their struggles, and how they overcame these struggles, or how they are overcoming these struggles. Just, I was gonna say, because I hope that this will resonate and this will help you in your own, but I know it will. I know, like, group work is such a powerful method, so I just know this is gonna be useful. Maybe not to all of you, but at least to some. Just hearing somebody else dig a little deeper into their own writing process. And I'm so happy that Sherrie wants to bite this bullet with me. I do have a few, like I have someone lined up for February and March as well. So this is going to be a fun year, I think. Every writer I talk to is very enthusiastic, and they all want to be part of this. And I think this is going to be a great series. So that is the plan. The plan is to have an interview every month, every 4 weeks, every month, depending on schedule. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to have honest conversations about the writing process. Because we also need to celebrate, but we also need to allow ourselves to dig a little and just discuss what's going on in our minds, so that we can keep or can create a very healthy, mentally healthy habit. Okay, so Sherrie, I'm just going to introduce you really shortly, because I know the past few months have been quite transformative for you. So I want you to do your own introduction. And you can correct me in a second if I'm wrong, because I think we've actually met in one of those writer communities that I just talked about. I think we met in the Smarter Artist group, which no longer exists. It was the Facebook group around the self-publishing podcast, and we recently reclaimed the space, and we're now called the Indiepreneur Writers Collective. If you want to join us, it's a really awesome space with loads of indie writers who know everything. So if you have any questions, just join us there, and I'll drop the link later. I think that is where Sherrie and I have met. But through Sherrie, I met so many other amazing people, like-minded people, that I still work with and talk with. And yeah, it's one of the reasons why I'm so happy to call Sherrie my friend, because I think she's one of the gems that I found in this really broad community. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can bring you in. She just acknowledged, yes, we did meet in the. That is the thing, Sherrie. We are now. There you are.
Hello!
Hello. I'm so glad to
Don't freeze!
Windy day.
Now you're hard to hear. Here we go.
Okay,
Can you hear
hi.
me?
I was, I can hear you.
Hey!
Yes,
We have wind or we
I was
have
just
children.
going to
So I
say.
thought, let's go with the wind and the view rather than the children squawking and the dark, dingy boat down below.
I can see that. I can see that. Excellent choice. Hey, I was just going to say that these days, like, we belong to so many of the same groups that I sometimes forget where we know each other from, because through you, I've met so many other great people. Sometimes I'm like, where did our friendship start? Like, but yeah, it's the Smart
Yeah,
Artist
I
group, right?
actually think the way it actually went was I was also in Smarter Artists, the Smarter Artists. I actually met Stephanie through the Smarter Artists Summit. We were there together, which was really cool. And now if you actually look at the
Right.
advertisement, you can see me and Stephanie in two different rows. Like it's actually kind of blurred out, but I was very impressed. I was like, look, me and Stephanie were meant to meet there. And how we actually got the full contact though, so we were kind of running in these same author circles, but I was supposed to go karaokeing at Smarter Artist Summit with Alyssa Archer, and she was
Oh,
organizing it,
that's
and
fun.
I just totally, after 3 days of so much intensity, I was like, I can't go, I can't go, I can't go, I can't go. But I was still following her now after that, and she did an interview on your blog with her character
Yes, that
book,
is
her
true.
beautiful book. And that's when I was like, and you said, is anyone else looking for people? And I'm like, oh, we kind of run in the same circles. And I was like, I'm looking for someone. And since then, we've actually been in much better contact. But that's the full
Yes,
genealogy of
yeah,
me, Mariella.
and that's the thing. Like,
And why
for
community is so
me,
important, the connections we make.
well, that's the thing. Like, for me, this interview series is replacing the other interview series. So I used to do interviews on my blog um, around for like series for writers. And Alyssa was the first, so that's really cool. So it's full circle. It's full circle for me now. So this interview series with actual writers talk, of course, like those other people were actual writers, so they've been part of the blog. But this is about the actual writing process, and not about what you offer to
Yeah, it's
writers.
definitely, I might have to move
Um,
closer. It is hard to hear you. Hold on a second. I'm going to move down here, and hopefully they don't interrupt us too much. But there. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, and there's much less wind, so that's
Okay,
good.
and I can hear you better here. So we'll creep down here. I'll
Okay.
have to give up my totem animal. It's too hard to hear you over there. Do you mind repeating that last thing?
I was going to say that this series is actually replacing that other series. So for me, it feels like,
Okay.
yeah. So now you bring up Alyssa. Alyssa was the first interview I did. So now you bring up Alyssa. It feels like it's going full circle for me. So it's the perfect time to start something new. So I felt like, yeah, I like that. I like it when that happens. Yeah, feels very synchronicity.
Yeah, it is. And I absolutely love when you said too about this whole like being alone and not doing it alone in the community, and how like this kind of showed how we met each other and how these community and connections go, because you're right. I mean, I actually had this conversation with my daughter yesterday. So I've talking about writing and honest conversations. It's been really hard to write the last 2 weeks in particular, but I just cannot get back on track. Some bad news from home happened again, and it was just like everything. And then I took my kids to the park yesterday, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to try to get at least some jot notes done while you go and play. And she kept coming over and interrupting me. And then I said to her, in the end, writing is a solitary activity. Like I can't share with you
Yes.
at the moment
Yeah.
what I'm doing, sweetie. You need to go over there and play. But what is so important is that after the solitary activity is done, you have ability to go and connect with other people. That you kind of like, you go out and you retreat, you go into your own world, you're in your own space, you're totally alone. But then you're like, okay, now when I'm coming back, because also I'm sure you find it yourself, when you're writing, you have such high highs. And actually I saw Ruth Zeki talk in Berlin, and it was so great. It was right after the A Tale for Time Being was coming out. She's promoting it at Soho House. And she said, sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm writing, I'm like, I'm the best writer ever. And she's like, that too will pass. And she's like, at other times I'm like, I'm the worst writer ever. And she's like, that feeling
Yes.
too will pass. But to
Happens.
have somebody who understands that, because if I go and I go to my
Yeah.
programming partner, he's like, Yeah, okay. You know, but other writers understand that. They get that. They get how you can be.
Yes,
And I
yes,
actually just read Bruce Springsteen's biography too, and he said the same thing. I love it. I say everyone read Bruce Springsteen's autobiography. If you're at all an artist, it will resonate so truly because he's like, I've got the biggest ego, and I believe I'm the complete faker. And I'm just like, that's
yes.
so true. And to have that connection with
That
people
is
who
true.
understand that, who's like, you're not crazy, you don't need therapy, it's part of being an artist, being so in love with your work and at the same time being so
Yes.
convinced it's crap. You know, like,
Yeah. Well, that is absolutely, and there's so many, and it's fun because I have this big Pinterest board with all writing quotes, and Bruce Springsteen is actually on it, like talking about art in
oh, I
general.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
The
I
new
know,
book,
and
like I
it's
said,
a lot.
highly recommend it to everybody.
Yeah, and I think what goes for writers goes for most creatives. Like I think most creative
Yes.
projects are fairly solitary. Yeah, but you need that time alone, so you can connect properly with other people. Like
And you
you need
also
that.
need people who understand that. And I think that's where community is so great too, that people are able to actually understand that you both want to make the connection, but also that you want to retreat. I mean, this is one thing too that
Yeah.
sometimes I found with some people who really support me and want to support me, and yet, like, I mean, my daughter's 5, it doesn't count, but you know, other family members who really support me and love me, still interrupting constantly. You know, I'm going to do some writing now, and just constantly
Yeah.
sticking their head in and asking questions or texting or whatever. And you're like, you really need to be firm about your boundaries and being like, okay, if I can't work here, I need another space. Because they may love you, they may support you, but if you're not an artist, I don't think you always understand just what it means to be interrupted. It's not like you're doing something you can look up and talk and go right back to where you were. You've just lost your train of thought. You're
No.
totally tossed out there, you know, you're like, whoa. And then again, people who are like, can work next to you and just be quiet. That alone is like, oh my God. You know? And who don't take it
Yes.
personally. It's not rejection. It's me working on what I need to do.
Yeah, I think that like the rejection part, I think that for a lot of people, and also because I think a lot of like the people around us that support us are very much like they want to show that support, so they want to show that like very explicitly that they,
Mm-hmm.
like what are you working on? What are you working on? What are you working on? I will tell you later.
Exactly.
Leave
I
me
mean, my
alone.
partner does the same thing. He's like,
Uh,
why can't I read it? Or like I'll be typing and he'll come behind me and I just shut it. I'm like, no, you can't read it yet. It's not ready yet. It's too raw. It's too vulnerable. He's like, but I'm going to read it eventually. You're going to put it out there for whoever wants to read it. I'm like, but that's when it's done. And even then it hurts.
it's a
Like I
different
hate
feeling.
watching people read my stuff. I'm like, I can't look at you do that.
Yeah.
But while I'm writing it, not allowed. It's strictly verboten. You know,
No.
like don't even
Yeah,
think
like the
about it.
whole over your shoulder thing, like the whole
Oh
like
yeah.
oh yeah, I have that. I've had that like every time like I redid my office, like every time my desk was facing like the opposite way of the door, so I was with my back to the door, I couldn't write. Like even though if I had the door closed, so I hear someone come in. No, I need to be able to see the entrance. Either I look at it or I see it. But you need to step away. Like this is a very, and of course, like that, especially in the process of making it. Oh, that is such a vulnerable. Hey, I completely realized that we missed your introduction, and you were already talking about boundaries and stuff. And of course, one of the things that I think is so fun about you is that you live on a very tiny boat with your family.
Yes.
Yes,
See,
look at
this is our
that, people.
cockpit,
Like
you
I'm
know.
here,
It's not much.
like I have snow everywhere, and you're just there with your glorious blue
Yeah.
sea. So just to make a little bridge to the introduction, talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about yourself and that you are on a boat.
Yes.
Uh,
I'm in the Caribbean. If anyone wants to take a look, I don't know here if you can see, but so I'm
yes, we
presently in
can,
Martinique.
darling. Yes, we can. Rub it in.
Okay. All right. Just no. Okay. So at the moment I'm on a boat, but like I said, honest conversations, it always looks fabulous, but be very careful of people's curated. And the key word here is curated
Yeah.
Instagram and Facebook feeds. You know what I mean? And I say it myself. I really try. I'll often write what's going on. But if you do not read my Instagram posts and you just look at the pictures, you'll also think that this is always just a perfect, idyllic life. And like I said, though, I'm not going to take pictures of my kids freaking out and crying and bawling because it's not me. I'll put myself up there crying, but I won't put my kids up. I don't think that's fair. But I will tell you, they are about to be 4 and about to be 6. You know, we've been doing this for 2 years. We started this, Kai was a toddler. Actually, we bought the boat, he was not even born. They are children. They freak out. It's a small space. We're on top of each other, you know, like it's not always perfect. But what actually happened was we decided to do this because me and Patrick met motorcycle traveling. I was teaching English. He was traveling the world by motorcycle. And I just got the bug then, because I used to teach English as a way to kind of get my travel bug going. I would just move countries every couple of months or every year, depending on the situation, if I liked the country or not. And yeah, and then we started motorcycle traveling, and that was it. It was done for the rest of my life. I'm like, okay, and we would just quit our work. We'd be freelancing, and we would just go for 3 months to a year, just travel the world with our motorcycles. And I love that. And that's actually how I started writing. I always wanted to be a writer. I started writing when I was like in kindergarten or something like that. But the same thing, the secretive corners, you know, heaven forbid you tell someone you wrote. I wrote grade 3, grade 4. And the kids were talking about it. And they weren't even making fun of me. I mean, you know, they made fun of me plenty, but not about this book. And I destroyed it. I destroyed it because they were talking about it. And so this is very much my mentality when it came to writing. It was very secretive. It was very much done in a corner. It was never.
Yeah.
Am I still there? I might have lost you.
Yes.
Oh, yes, you're there. Okay.
You're
So
still there.
anyway, finally, when I started traveling with Patrick, and I was always writing, and he said that to me. He was like, you know, you're always writing. Why aren't you writing? And this is right when the whole indie revolution started. It was like 2010, 2011. We went on our world trip. And he was like, why don't you just write? And that year I did a vision board, and I had a picture of me writing in Thailand. And I was like, I'll finish my first book in Thailand. We had no intention of going to Thailand at the time. I just thought maybe we could do a holiday or something while we shipped the bikes to South America. Anyway, it turned out shipping the bikes to South America cost way more than the bikes were worth. So we ended up in Thailand, and I finished my book there, the first book. And that's kind of how it all started. Exactly, right? My first book was actually about Iceland, when we went on the motorcycle trip through Iceland. And I just fell in love with actually being able to share it. Yeah. But then we had babies, and babies don't fit on motorcycles. Actually, I will lie. Before we had them, I was like, we'll just get sidecars. And then we had babies, and I was like, they're not going on a sidecar or a motorcycle ever. So, you know, like, so the next thing up was a boat. And actually, I'm a Newfoundlander. We sank the Titanic. I was not enthusiastic about a boat whatsoever. I was very much like, I do not want this. So, but he slowly convinced me, and now this is why we're now on Falcor, which is a tiny boat. But originally I promised as far as Amsterdam, and then I promised as far as Portugal, and then I promised the Caribbean, and now I'm like, okay, we can do this full time. But now we're going to get a bigger boat. We get it in April. But it was very much, and I think this is also something I tell people with the writing too, is like we all want to start where we're going to end up. And we hold ourselves to that standard of where we're going to end up. But that's not how it works. It was the same with sailing. The dream to start with a giant, well, 42 feet's not giant, but you know, a regular sized boat was great, but it would have basically taken all our savings, and I had no idea if it was going to work. I didn't know if I wanted it to work. It's the same thing, I think, when you go to quit your job and you're looking around at people who've quit their job and are doing the writing full time, when they're just able to put out their 1,000 words. They didn't open their eyes one day and decide to do that. It was a series of processes of slowly growing, of taking less hours at work, giving up on Netflix, eventually going down part-time. You know, it's a process, and it can take years, and we're always seeing the end result, and we're comparing our end result or our beginning line or even our middle line to someone else's finished, and that's not fair to ourselves, but we do it all the time, and we use that as an excuse to beat ourselves up. And so that's also something that I would say, even with the boat and whatnot, just start where you can. If this is what you want, go for the weekends. You know, if you want to be a full-time writer but you can't afford to quit your job, then be a weekend writer. You know, be after work writer, be a half an hour before work writer. Do whatever you need to eventually build that up to the point where you can, because no one gets to, unless you've got a trust fund, which most of us don't. You know, like.
Well,
and
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say if only, but then I've come, like, I think in the past few years I've realized that, like, even if I won the lottery, that is not how I wanted to go, because you learn so much from the hard work and you grow so much. And if things, and I'm not saying that I need things to be hard necessarily, but you learn so much that way. So I think it's actually more rewarding if you get there. Yeah.
Yes. Actually, I had this conversation again with my daughter this morning. She came to me and she was like, why can't it be Christmas every day? And I was like, but you know what? It wouldn't be special then. if it was, I know it sounds wonderful, but you know what? After 2 weeks of Christmas every day, you would be bored of Christmas every day. You know, like, and I think that's also why so many people, when they get to finally publishing their book, some people, like most people, it feels almost anticlimactic because you're just like,
Yeah,
okay, now what? It's done. It's out there. But you're
yeah,
no longer that person. You're not that person who never wrote a book before. Now you're the person who has a book. Now you need to do book two, you know? And then
yeah.
that's why I always say too, like, you've got to enjoy the process. It can't just be an end result, because if it's just an end result, you only have a couple of scattered milestones throughout your life, and they'll probably be anticlimactic. Whereas if the whole entire thing, of course, there's going to be setbacks, and you get sad, you get upset, and you get frustrated. But overall, the process should be something that you're in love with. It should be something that you enjoy. The growth, the stretching, the uncomfortable bits, you know, like it's why I love Anais Nin so much, because that's what she
Oh yeah,
thrived on.
yes,
You know, she
yeah,
thrived on the growth that came with it, that going down there and being like, oh God, this sucks. And just getting the juiciest bits of her writing and her life, and just really being like, okay, but this is who I am. I'm a writer. It doesn't matter how much I sell. It doesn't matter what happens afterwards. This is a little bit with the writing and the passion. And we said we were talking about the career. You can have both, but don't confuse them. You know, and I think this is something
yeah,
that happens a lot.
absolutely.
We confuse the passion with the money making. And you need
Yes.
passion to make money, but it's not the same thing. It's very much not the same thing.
No, and I think that is actually one of the reasons why I wanted to do this series, because a lot of people forget that there is the process, and that it's like this very old saying, like it's not the end that matters, it's the trip, it's the road, it's the path. And that is there are so many baby
Yes.
steps from getting where you are, where you want to be. And if you don't revel in those baby steps and all those little milestones, because a milestone it's not necessarily a big thing. Like just writing the end to your first draft, and then after weeks getting it out of the drawer and starting the rewriting process. To me, these are all milestones. And you need to enjoy every bit of them, and you
Giant.
need to celebrate every little bit of them. Because otherwise, if you just get focused on, oh, now I have one book out, but I still I need another 10, you're just gonna you're just gonna drain yourself without allowing yourself time to like fill your cup and sort of appreciate what you've done, and honor yourself for having finished something, a part of the process, not necessarily the entire process, but at least a part of the process. And there's so many people who don't even finish a little bit of the process. So why wouldn't you celebrate that?
And again, I think this is part of the problem, is that we don't look back. We don't honor who we
Yes.
were and how far we've come, because suddenly we're no longer the person who talked about writing a book for years. We're the person who did write a book. And now we don't appreciate that person anymore because it's us. We don't love ourselves enough. You know, like
Yeah.
instead of being like, you know what, you have changed from someone who has talked about writing a book to writing a book. Now we're like, oh, I got the book done, but I haven't sold 10,000 copies yet. Stop doing
Yeah.
that to yourself. You will drive yourself insane. And I think, but
Yes.
again, it's
Yes.
because we're not honoring that journey. We're not looking back. We're not going, wait, now, like you said, I should celebrate this. This is huge. And yes, there's a mountain in front of me, but look at how far I've come so far. And I've still gone further than
Yes.
most, you know? And
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
your
Hmm.
mountaintop you'll never get to the top. When you get to the top, you're dead. That's it. As long as you're alive, you will grow, you will stretch, you'll want something more. There's a reason why, you know, I think J.K. Rowling afterwards put out books under a different name, because she wanted to see, okay, J.K. Rowling's a name. What if I tried it under
Yeah.
another name? You know, like, can I
Yes.
still do it?
Yeah.
You know, she still felt the
Yeah.
need to test herself. I mean, I think to myself, if I was J.K. Rowling, I would just be rolling around naked all the time, laughing hysterically. You know what I mean? I'd just be like, look at me, I'm so wonderful. You know, but it's not
In
true,
your
because
castle. Yeah.
exactly, old me thinks, but you need to change. It's like the whole butterfly thing, you know, you dissolve and you become something else, and you just don't
Yeah.
appreciate. You used to be a caterpillar, and you're not looking at this butterfly anymore. You're looking at this thing going, well, that's who I am now. And it's not true. You need to be honoring that process, and also not looking at other people going, well, they did it faster, or I don't think they're as good as I am and they're still
Oh
doing it
God.
better. That's bullshit. Own lane, own lane, own lane. That's your ego coming in. Shut it off. And instead of looking at other people and how far they've come or doing it better, look at yourself and look how far you've come and how much better you're doing it. As
Yeah.
easy as that is to
Yeah,
say.
that's the thing. Like the only person. Yeah. No, but the only person you can compare yourself to is who you were yesterday, right? I don't know, like that's a quote I
Exactly.
stole from, I know that's a quote from someone, so I'm stealing that. I don't know who it is. But just to go back to J.K. Rowling, it's just for me, when she started that book, like writing that, what she did, she wrote it like on a train and in a cafe or something, right? Like when she was like, she had no
Yep.
money at all. She didn't write Harry Potter. That idea didn't come to her because she was like, I'm here and I have no money, but I need my castle in Scotland. That is the dream. That just happened. That just happened somewhere along the path. Like that, I don't think she for once realized when she started writing that story that that was in her, like that was part of her, part of the road that she
Yeah.
was like getting on. So that is, and definitely,
And
yeah,
I,
it's
yes,
yeah,
absolutely. I think
money
for me, I
money is
finally
the big
accepted
motivator,
it.
the problem. Yeah, I think that you need
Yeah,
to
no,
be
and I,
motivated. Yeah,
yes.
go ahead.
No, no, sorry. I was going to say that's exactly it, though. I think that's part of it too. Is that we often try to control so tightly, we strangle our dreams, in the sense that we have
Yeah.
this idea. Okay, this is what I'm working towards, and we're not. And again, if you're only focused on the goal and you're only focused on the end dream, and you're trying to control, you're driving yourself crazy. You're making
Mhm.
yourself brittle. You're choking the life out of your dream. Whereas if you're enjoying the process, if you're seeing each day as a new adventure, a new way of looking at things, a new way of exploring yourself and your writing and your creativity, then all of a sudden the whole world opens up to you, and it's very much okay,
Mhm.
this is, I'm following my bliss, let's see where it takes me, as opposed to this is the end result, and if this doesn't happen, I failed. And there's so many other bullseyes out there that you don't even appreciate it because you're just so focused on the one bullseye that you're like, nope, 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 it has to be this. And like I said, J.K. Rowling was not sitting there going Scotland, or maybe she was, but it was probably one of her many possibilities. In the end,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
was just
one,
like,
yeah.
I just want to be published.
Yeah, I think that was the first. That's the first. No, but that's my thing. Like, I was just thinking that, and I never knew how to say this. Like in my coaching, like I never knew how to say it. But I think what I just realized is that what we're talking about here is that if your motivation is based on that end goal, it's a very external motivation. I think what we're talking about here is that you need to be able to motivate yourself from within, and this is where the passion comes from. Like you need to love it because of something eternal, because it feeds your soul, because you need to do this, because you're called to do this, because this is a story that you need to share with the world, and not because that is. And of course, like who doesn't want to write a bestseller? Like who doesn't want to be like J.K. Rowling? I mean, come on. Like who doesn't? Maybe not like her, but have what she has.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I
but
think
I like
success
for me,
and being
yeah,
still considered to be literary, that's amazing, hands down.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
truthfully, I would take James Patterson's success tomorrow. But there's a lot of writers actually who would say no because they're like, I don't want to be James Patterson. And I'm like, I would love to have his level of success and money. Truthfully, I'm like, just give it to me, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. No,
But I
that's
mean,
a
there's
completely
also
different
this whole
discussion.
writing
Yeah,
thing. Yes, exactly. I mean, and I think this is also something important though when it comes to motivation and passion, everything else. For a long time, I confused motivation and passion with the ability to write. And if I wasn't struck by the muse, I wouldn't write. And I wouldn't show up every day because I was like, that's not what writers do. I was very much in the idea that writers are struck by possession and they write their beautiful poetry or their books and it free flows. And if it's not hitting you that day, you don't do it.
if
And
only.
that's when I
I
realized,
wish that was what
well,
it was.
that's passion, but it's not necessarily motivation.
Yeah. I have these moments sometimes. Sometimes I have these moments. But yeah, usually it's just like telling yourself you need to sit
That's your
down
ego trying to talk
behind
you
that
out of it, though.
computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just need to sit down and
Or
do the
you
work.
decide, again, like we said, we're to talk about today, exactly. Or it's a hobby. And that's okay. If you're like, you know
Yeah,
what,
that's
I
okay too.
really only want to write when I'm truly possessed, then that's fine. But
Okay.
accept then that it's a hobby. And that's fine. And I don't, there's nothing wrong. I'm not saying hobby is a dirty word because some people do. That's not true. It's something you love to do and you're not trying to make a living from it. And that is fine. But if you
Yeah.
want to make a living from it, then you need to meld your motivation and your passion and show up every day anyway, whether you want to or not. But I think also you need to decide too for yourself what you want, and it can be somewhere in the middle. Like, and I think this is part of the problem at the moment, that what I often find on the online world with writing and everything else, it's either you're 100% committed to making a living as a writer and you're writing to market and only writing to market and you're writing 1,000 words. It doesn't matter if your fingers are bleeding, you know, like you're going to kill
Yeah.
yourself to make it. or it's no, I'm only showing up when I want to show up. And I really believe there's a healthy middle. There's a healthy middle
I
where
think
you're
so.
like, you know what? Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't need to be making, $20,000 a month. It would be great, but I'm happy with a
It would be
couple of
awesome.
thousand
Yeah.
and living the life I want. And maybe I have to supplement with writing, working at
Mhm.
Starbucks or something, because if I work a full-time corporate job, it's too committed. But again, you can have your pride of your dreams. I think it was Jen Sincero who said that. And every now and then I really look at that and think to myself, okay, am I being prideful now and killing my dreams for that? Or am I going, okay, no, I need to step back and do what I need to do to be able to do this?
Yeah, but I think that's the thing that you see now, that discussion, like you go either that way or you go that way. Well, there is, and that is like I've been writing about this since 2016, I think, and I know it's quite
Mm-hmm.
controversial to talk about it. So I'm really happy that I see more
Honest
resonance,
conversations.
like honest conversations. And that's the thing, like I've also been warned not to talk about that too much in the writing groups that I'm part of, because the funny thing for me is that the reason why we started doing the self-publishing is because we want to do it our way and we don't want to deal with the gatekeepers, and we think we know better, but at the same time particular discourses now reign in those areas, and I'm like, I don't think these are healthy for everyone. If they're healthy for you, if it works for you, that's perfectly fine. But I also see a lot of people who just completely overwhelmed because they hear constantly what it is they need to do, while in fact their dream is just slightly different.
And this is just it. And I've been guilty of myself. You just get swipes,
Oh yeah, yeah, and
taken up
same
with
here,
the
same
the
here. Yeah,
hype. You just get
yeah.
swooped into it, into the hype, and all of a sudden you're like, I got to, I got to, got to. And I mean, I can remember in Berlin before we left, I even said I wasn't going back to work because we were going on this trip. So there was like 8 months where my son and daughter were both in Kita, but the deadline was to leave. And I'm like, I'm not going into an office for 8 months just to quit. Like, I hate quitting. I really do hate quitting. I've got a real issue with going in and quitting. So I was like, I'm just going to write for those 8 months. And I was like, and I said the same thing. I'm like, I'm going to now for these 8 months really get my career up and going. I'm going to push it so hard and everything else. And in the end, my dream was to be able to write in cafes around the world. That doesn't take that much money. It takes about €5 a day, to get your nice coffee,
Yeah,
maybe a piece of cake, €10 in an expensive
yeah,
country. But I
yeah.
started torturing myself and killing myself in order to be like, I got to make lots and lots of money. I got to get these books out. I got to publish them. I got to promote them. I got to do this, this, this. And I wasn't enjoying it anymore. And I was really, and all of a sudden I was like, I could be in a corporate job and hate my life this much. Like, what is the
Yes.
point of this?
Like,
But I
and you
was
could
listening
actually
to everybody
make a lot of
online. I
money.
was like, this is what you do.
That's the
And
thing,
in the
right? You
end,
can
I
make an
really
awful lot of
honestly
money
just wanted,
and be unhappy.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you can also spend a lot of money trying to get there and not do it. You know what I mean? This is the
Yes.
other thing,
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a
Yes. I think,
guaranteed
yeah.
thing. And
That's
sorry,
but that's
the
also
host
that's
next to
exactly
us is
no
leaving.
that's no that's exactly what I was trying to get to earlier. Is that the whole motivation thing? If your motivation is just external, I think it can be both. Like it's I think
Oh,
if you like
absolutely.
instead, yeah, if you just write for the muse, if it's just internal and you're not very disciplined, who's gonna kick you in the ass to get it actually done? So it's not
Well,
bad to have a plan, to have a goal,
this is where
but I
your
think it's
accountability groups come
important.
into.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's important to know what your goal is. And for some people, that is, if I can just sit down, like my current goal, like my life is a little crazy at the moment. So my current goal is I'm trying to sit down at least for 20 minutes every day. I don't always get to that because sometimes because I write at night, which is
Okay,
probably
yep.
not the safe, it's probably not the smartest thing, but for at this time, it's the only thing I can do. Um, because sometimes I'm just dead tired at the end of the night, and I'm just like I can pretend like I can just open Scrivener and just stare at the words for 20 minutes and pretend that I wrote. I can do that, or I could just admit to myself, not today. But
This
yeah,
is
for
where
some people,
compassion comes in, though.
yes, yes. But that's the thing. Is like for some people can easily write 5,000 words a day. Perfect. Do that. That is your goal. But if your goal is 150 words a day, excellent. If your goal is to write a novel in 2 years, perfect. But you need to know your goal. You need to if you like, as much as I am I promote community all the time, but be careful that you stick to your own. Are your kids running around?
No, that was the boat next door leaving, and he waved.
Oh, the glory life. Yeah, but that's the thing. Is like you just need to know. You need to know what your own. Because I would like when I first came into this. So when I first came into the group where we met, which is now the Indiepreneur Writers Collective, I was also talking to people. I'm writing this really huge young adult urban fantasy trilogy, and the people just kept
Right.
pushing me, and like there were different discourses. Like one of them is your first book is gonna suck anyway, so just put it on the Zon on Amazon and just ignore it. And I was like, yeah, but this is like the thing that I need to write. Like I can write multiple things. I do write I write multiple projects. But so this is the thing that feeds my soul. So no, I don't want that first novel
You
to
need to treat
suck
that
because
very
that is,
differently
yeah.
from your commercial fiction.
Yes. And then there was the whole idea that I wrote too slowly. You're never gonna make it if you don't speed up. And then you will never become a full-time writer. And then when I said, well, actually, like I love, like I'm an editor, I'm a writing coach. I love both. Like they, it's such fulfilling work to me. I don't want to be a full-time writer. I just want to be able to get the stories out that I need to get out. Yeah. And that was just like the response that I got was just like it was blasphemy to say, but I don't really need, like I
Oh,
want
yes. Oh,
I
yes.
definitely want to be able to make my own money and not
Yes.
rely on having to work for a company, or like I'm just about to leave the university. Like I'm hoping this is the last time that I'll have to teach in an academic
Which
context.
is huge. And I hope you're celebrating
Yes,
that.
but I will be. I definitely
Seriously.
will be. Even though I already left them once, so there will be a second celebration. Like I got back in for a few months, so it'll be my second attempt to leave them behind. But yes, but the whole that you can just admit that to your, like, saying that in these groups, like I don't necessarily only want to write to market, and I also don't necessarily want to become a full-time writer. Like
Yeah.
the first time
Well,
I
I mean, I
said
think this is
that,
also
people were
like it's a
just
very
like blown
important.
away.
Well, this is just it, but this is why I think it's really important to keep coming back to self. And this is, we'll talk about my author planner afterwards, but the very first 20 pages have nothing to do with your writing time, your word count, or nothing. It has everything to do with what are your goals and why. Just so
Yes.
that when you do get caught up in the hype, or something happens and you get pushed off and you're not doing the writing the way you want to do it anymore, you come back to those first few pages and look at it and go, wait, my goal this year is to write 150 words a day. And I'm up to 500 a day and I'm giving myself crap. No, this is not there anymore.
No.
But now you can also honor and say, okay, I'm no longer the person who writes 150 words a day. I'm now someone who can write 500 a day. So you can update it, but then you don't give yourself crap for not hitting someone else's goals. It's like, wait, no, where's my growth? What do I want? Keep coming back to self, because it's so easy. And this is actually a reason why I stopped coaching. Actually, was complete opposite of what you were saying. Was that I loved the coaching, it was great. At the same time, I was resenting I wasn't getting writing time. And so, because I mean, I've got 2 small children, I want to see the world, and I was, at the same time, part of me was also telling myself, well, you have this great opportunity that you can write and you can make a living writing. You need to share that with people. That's your responsibility, to go out there and help other people to get past these blocks. And so and I was even doing it through Voxer, because I hate having the time zones and internet failures and everything. Hey, sweet man, mommy's still on the phone, baby. Yeah, found your wing. Cool job. Baymax. We're big Baymax fans here. So in that case, I was telling myself that, and I enjoyed it. I really loved seeing people open up and put books out and talk about their books. And I'd be like, yes, yes, yes. But part of me was also a little bit resentful that I wasn't spending that time writing my own stuff. And I was like, okay, Sherrie, like, this is something other people do too sometimes, is that you do something close to what you love in order not to do what you truly love. And this, I think, is one of the more dangerous ways, because sometimes it's very obvious what you're doing, and other times you're like settling. This is great. And Danielle Laporte actually says, say no to the good so you can say yes to the great. And I think it's really important that you sit there and look at that and go, what's my good and what's my great? And for me, it was the opposite. The coaching was good, but it wasn't great. And the writing is great. And then I realized that, you know what, I can share like this. I don't have to be a coach anymore, I can perfectly share it for free. And, you know, I was doing like, you know, money boot camp and everything else, and people are telling you, you need to be paid, you need to be paid, you need to be paid. And so I'm trying to get paid for coaching to talk about this stuff. And then I'm like, but my heart's not in it. I'd rather show up, talk to you for an hour, have lots of fun, share what I have to say, and then move on. And then it's, you know, exactly. Have my tea, you know, have Creative Spirits once a week with Kate, and share this completely for free and be okay with it without having people crapping on me saying, no, you need to charge for your information. No, I need to charge for my books. You know, I love my books, and that's what I need to charge for. That's what lights me up. That's what really, truly is what I'm passionate about. But I'm allowed to say, actually, in this case, I want to be writing. I'd rather once a week or once a month hang out with another writer, share it online for free, and that's also okay. And once I really checked in with myself, I was like, do I feel bad? Am I belittling myself by not charging for this stuff? I'm like, actually, no, I'm honoring myself by not charging for this stuff because I want to share it, but I don't want to be trapped into certain times because, like I said, I also write at night. It's not the best time to write. My best writing is in the morning, but in the morning, I've got small children who are awake, you know, and people are like, get up early.
But still.
But you know, you've got other things. And even when people say get up early, okay, I can get up at 5. I can guarantee you 5 minutes later, my kids are up. So it's like my partner can wake up at 4. No one gets out of bed with him. But with my kids, as soon as I'm awake, their antennas are like, mommy's awake, and up they come.
I see that. That's the whole like So because I just see Stephanie's leaving, so Stephanie is I like Stephanie is always up so early.
See you, Stephanie.
Stephanie's always so early, and I'm just like, and of course for me she's not early because I've been up for hours, but I'm like I couldn't do that. And also like when I wake up, like the first thing I'm like I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that because I still have a part-time job, but also like I have a very serious business next to this, so I am always like I need to do that first, and then the writing for me, and that's I think it's another thing. Is that one of the things that I constantly got when I first started taking myself seriously as a writer was that I needed, like, I was, how do I say that? Like, people were trying to convince me that it had to be my priority.
Yes.
Like there was nothing, like nothing could get in between it. And right now I'm like, right now I'm in the process that I'm gonna move to another country. I'm finally getting rid of the day job for real. Yeah, very exciting. 34 days. I'm like going crazy because I have so much, I have so much to do. And then people just tell me it doesn't matter, like it doesn't matter how long you have to prepare. Everything will happen in the last week anyway. So just breathe. So I'm trying to do that right now. But yeah, it's just like people are trying to convince me you need to take this seriously. Writing should be first. But I now understand that I have phases in which I can do that. But I also, like right now, I am making this switch. So right now, other things in my life have priority, and I'm just really proud of myself that from October onwards, like before October, the whole of summer, I didn't write much because I was just too occupied with other stuff happening in my life. So from October onwards, just before NaNoWriMo, I came into this as long as I get 20 minutes a day. And I don't get it every day, but sometimes I get 3 sprints, sometimes I get 1, and I'm just really proud of myself. I'm not going to look at, I started this project like a year ago, we could have gotten this and this far. I'm just like, no, like if I look at what and I know 2018 has been a crazy year for most of us. I mean, come on. Let's be honest, like 2018 was a roller coaster 2.0.
Started like end of 2016 for me. I'm like, stop it, universe, just stop it.
Yeah, so actually, 2016 was, it never stopped. It just got worse for me. I don't want to say worse. I don't want to say worse because I'm so happy where I am right now. So I don't want to say worse because it gave me so much. But while you're in it, you're just like, what is happening? But I can look back now and say, oh, wow. I still got this done, even though I've dealt with this, I've dealt with this, I've dealt with this, I've dealt with this, I've done this, I've done it. Like I was just thinking, like I haven't seen my comfort zone since the fall of 2017. And I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy that is where I am right now. This is huge. That I'm becoming comfortable in the not being comfortable and just trying new things. And part of that is that I don't have time right now to write that many hours, and I have to. So so that was my compromise, like my own project, my young adult trilogy. that became like my back burner project. And I'm now co-writing these romance novellas, which is much
Mm-hmm.
faster. And that was the compromise. That for me is the
Yeah.
compromise, is that we just, then I'll it's still creative. It's not entirely to market because we write lesbian romance, so we don't do the regular romance. So we're still writing what we want to write, but we just, that's the compromise for me, and it's so good. I see that
But I think this
Sandra.
is the perfect thing.
I'm just gonna see what Sandra is saying here. It is, yeah, that's the thing. It's so personal, but that is the whole thing. You need to understand. You need to figure out what works for you. And I think it's really good to
Exactly.
look at what other people are doing, but then you
Of course, maybe they've
take
got
the
a good
little
idea for
bits and
you.
pieces. Yeah, you take the bits and pieces that work
Exactly.
for you, and you just discard everything else. And I think for a lot of people, it's just like, oh, they do it like this, so and they're successful. So now I need to do it the exact same way. And I think no. They're successful because that is what works for them. So what you do, you look
Exactly.
what
And
they
you don't
do,
see all
and
the
whatever
people.
resonates, you take that. Yeah.
Exactly. And you don't see all the people who are doing it that way and are not successful and are breaking themselves trying to be something they're not. Because that's very rarely what we
Yes.
get to see. This is, selection bias at its best. And I think this is part of the problem, is that then we look and go, but this is what they're doing to be successful. Yeah, but yeah, try it. And I always say try it, because you never know. I'm not saying that you shouldn't try new things. And I think
No,
failure is a
Go
great
do
thing.
that.
It's not,
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
yeah, but and we need to brace it. And
Yeah.
this is a little bit like what you were saying too, about how, like, you haven't seen your comfort zone since 2017. And I felt the same way. Like 2017 in particular was like the year from hell for me. Even though we went on the boat, I've lost my brother. My relationship almost ended. I was really going through a lot of stuff. And on the one hand, I'm like, I hated the way it made me feel, but I love the gifts it gave me, because it really brought me back to self. It really made me think a lot about things, and about how things are presented and talked about, and what's even important and not important. Like death will do that, whether death of a relationship or death of a person. All of a sudden, all the things you took for granted, your eyes open up and you're like, whoa, this is not guaranteed. You know what I mean? Like everything that I thought was going to be for the next 60 years is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Be it life or relationships or anything. And all of a sudden you're like, why am I doing this then? Why am I getting, oh, I'm so glad you're liking this, Sandra. Why am I killing myself for other people's standards? And I mean, it really brought me up, because actually when it started me for a lot of this stuff with not really going the traditional career, teaching English and traveling a lot, was my a good friend in Korea. We were there, and I was thinking about going back and starting my master's and doing everything like that. And she said, the thing that she learned was that she broke up with a guy who she madly loved and who no one else liked. And in the end, she said, you know what, I should have broke up with him. He was not a good guy for me, but I should have broke up with him on my time, not on my friend's time, because they're all happy I broke up with him and they've moved on. And I'm the one living with the consequences of this decision every single day of my life. And I regret it. Yeah. And that's when it hit me that I don't want to regret anything. Or if I regret something, I want to regret my own bad decisions, not listening to other people and making bad decisions based on what they think is best for me. And so this is also something that I think, sorry, with writing, it applies to writing too.
Yeah, but I was just thinking that this morning, and I cannot remember for the life of me what it was a connection to, but that if you truly decide everything like in divine timing, then you won't regret anything, because whatever you decide on in that moment will be the best thing for you. And of course that resonates, and of course that relates to writing as well. It's that you need to do, and that's the thing, like what you said as well, like you can upgrade your goals, because you will develop, you will grow as a writer, you will, so that's something I've been writing on for a long time, is that you figure out, okay, what works for you now? Like it's great. Like I honestly believe if you don't have long-term goals, if you need that motivator, write them down. Like I always tell my clients, where do you want to be? 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, 3 months, where do you want to be? But then, after a while, after 3 months, after 6 months, you go back to that. Okay, do I still want to be there where what I said I wanted to be in 10 years? Do I still want to be there? What has changed? But also, if you want to be there in 10 years, but where do you need to be? Like, where do you need to be in a year if that is where you want to be in 1 year? So what are these short-term goals, and can you make them? Is it even realistic? to expect that of yourself.
And it's also okay to say, I wanted this and I don't, because the
Yeah.
outside is very different from the living of it. So it's also okay to be
Yes.
like, okay,
Yes.
upgrading your
Oh God,
goals, but
yes.
it's also just as good to downgrade your
Yeah.
goals. If you're like, actually, no, this is not lighting me up the way I thought it would. I tried it. I'm glad I went for it, but now I'm going to back up and do something different. Either
It's
you
so
say,
great to see
okay, I actually, I
Sandra
don't
just
want to write to
completely
market
rooting
anymore,
for
or I
us.
don't need to sell so many copies. I'm happy
Yeah.
writing whatever, whenever, then
Yeah.
that's also fine.
Yeah.
And then maybe in a year's time, something has changed and you're ready to go back and make it an everyday writing process. Oh no, trying to connect. I lost you. Am I back?
Oh, you're still here for me.
Okay. Okay, perfect. It
You're
said I
still
was
here for
leaving
me.
as a guest. I was like, no, I'm not. But yeah, I think that's also important
I'm
to
still here.
realize that you can upgrade and downgrade at will. Like this is
Yes.
not something
Yes.
that
But
is
that's
written in stone. Your goals need to be constantly revisited,
yeah.
and you're allowed to change, allowed to have different opinions.
Yeah. Yeah, to go back to your like the mountain metaphor, because you said if you reach the top, you're dead, and I was thinking, no, I think you can reach the top, but the thing is, what we often see then, we'll see the mountain next to it is a little bit higher, so then that is where we want to be. But then of
Right,
course, like
exactly.
if you just see another
The
mountain, you're
mountain's
just like
growing though with you.
that is probably the better metaphor. That actually, when you think you're there, yeah, something. But also, like when you're climbing that, sometimes you just need to take it slow. Like you need a break. You need to like switch paths. You need a detour. It's all good.
And I think it's important to think of it in terms of masculine and feminine energy. And feminine energy honors the time that you're fallow and the time that you're fertile. And, like this is really important that
Yeah.
is really downplayed in our society, and it shouldn't be. There's 4 seasons, and we should honor them in
Yeah.
our life,
The
our monthly
cyclic
cycles.
nature of our process.
Exactly. And I mean, when
Yeah.
I think about a project, the beginning of the project would probably be winter, but there's still stuff underground. There's things happening. It just on top of it looks like nothing. It looks like snow, but there's actually
Yeah.
lots of life happening. But I'm thinking about a project. I'm plotting it. I'm playing with
Yeah.
it. Like some seeds won't come to fruit because I'm like, actually, no, this is not a project I'm willing to denote. Yeah, Sandra, I agree. Seasonal is fantastic.
Yeah.
Or cycle. Like I actually never did cycle planning until I did the Creative Environment Living virtual retreat. And one of the women there did a session with me and we talked about monthly charting. And I was like, this is brilliant. Why wasn't I doing this all along? Because
Yeah.
I was very
No, but
much following this masculine energy and it was not good for me. I was trying to like pin myself to something that wasn't even part of who I was at soul level or as a person. I need to honor the feminine cycles. I need to honor that there's a time when, grief is over going to take me. And I don't think I should be proud of the fact that if I'm on my knees in grief, that I'm able to still get up and write my 5,000 words.
no.
If you
No.
are a person who can do that, then great. But I'm not going to beat myself up that I'm not. I'm going to
Yeah.
be there with the grief and sit with the pain. And maybe later I will take that pain and turn it into something else. But at this moment, I'm there and I'm honoring and I'm witnessing that. I think that's fine. And I think this is something that
Yeah.
if you're truly just banging out constantly, I would also ask, are you honoring a masculine energy or a feminine energy? And is this even matching with your energy and your patterns?
Yeah, but also like we all have both masculine and because if you just have feminine energy, that's the thing. Like the feminine energy, that's like the creative source, and the masculine energy is like what makes you go, what makes you go from A to B.
And do it.
So
Exactly.
if you just have feminine energy, nothing will come. Like nothing will come to fruition. You need both, but
But
they
if you
need to
just
be
do the
in balance. And
masculine,
if
you're
you
just
do
going to
not,
beat yourself up.
yeah,
Exactly. It's the
you're
balance.
just
And I
gonna
think
bring
this is
yourself
important
out. Yeah,
that,
yeah.
and I
And
think
I
we should
actually
also learn
see
that
that.
we're going to be constantly knocked out of balance. And that's okay too. We're just
Yeah,
constantly learning and learning and learning. And as soon as you think you've got this
yeah,
shit figured out, something's going to happen. You need to learn it over again. That's
yeah.
also
But I think,
something I believe. There's no
that's
such thing as
part.
getting there.
No, but that's part of the growth process for me. Like it's never when you think you got it, something happens. You're just like I'm relearning again.
Exactly.
But
Yes.
I think one of the
It is
great
a
things,
practice,
like I have,
Sandra.
like as you know, like I have my accountability group, and it's been rather quiet after Christmas. And at first I was like, so maybe my group isn't that successful. That is okay. Like I just wanted to create like a safe space where people can share their goals. But now I gradually see people, okay, so I completely like like lost my horse. Like I cannot get back on the horse anymore. Like I don't know where my horse is. Like what happened? Well, the holidays happened. It's fine. Like I had this conversation recently that we all have New Year's resolution on New Year. Why? January is the most depressing month there is. Why don't we start
exactly.
why don't we start with our New Year resolutions on the 1st of February, the 1st of March, or when spring comes along, when we get the energy, that's part of the cycle, when we get the energy to start things anew. Like in winter, we shouldn't be undertaking anything new. We should be processing how far we've come and then just, learn from that before we do the new thing. But that's yeah. Hey, darling, do you know that I have no time, but I was just checking. We've been on this for almost an hour. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then people are going to be like, guys, shut up. No, they won't.
No, so I was
But they might have other
because
things to do. So
yeah, but we had a list of things we were going to talk, and I think we touched upon all of them. Somewhere completely
definitely
disorganized, and that's like, I promised you I
that's
wouldn't
us.
prepare this.
At least it's me. I'm sorry. It's me. I shouldn't say us.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Like
Marielle
this
is much
is a
more
good
organized.
exercise for me. Yeah, so but I think we've touched upon some really, and especially if I see the comments, I think we touched upon some really good topics and themes. And Ashina's just joining us. Well, you can watch the very, very long replay, darling. When we're done, I'll upload it soon. Yeah, but I think this is a good. I think this is a good, like, because you have something to share with us. And we promise everyone. So that's the thing. Okay, so we promise everyone that if they stick around, we had a little thing for them. Or you had a little thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the fun part is that now they have to watch an hour.
Exactly.
I told you at the beginning. I don't know how long this is going to take. Well, we both like to talk about this. So yeah, this is
love it.
This is a risk. This was a risk. Okay, so bring us your bonus. Give us your little gift.
Yes. Actually, and if you've been listening this long,
that's the thing. Like I see more people are
I see one
online.
person watching. That's it.
Yeah, and I think that's you. But apparently, because Sandra was also talking, so I think more people are watching than we know, which is good. Because I was absolutely nervous before we started this. So it's good that I don't know how many people are actually live. So it's a good thing. I'm sorry, babe.
Exactly.
I'm so sorry. I'm glad you were here. Okay. So bring it on. Bring it on.
Okay, but if you lasted this long, then it means you're actually interested in not just goal setting, but goal setting in terms of finding what you want, aligning with self and stuff like that. So the original plan was that I would have just one copy of the author planner, my author planner, which I don't know if you can see or not, probably not. There we go.
Sorta. Good enough.
Okay. I'll pop the link down afterwards so people can check it out on Amazon afterwards. But that one person that we would say, go ahead and either share something on Facebook or on Instagram and tag us. And next Friday, I would have it so that one person gets a physical copy mailed to them. Choose one person as a winner. But then I was like, you know what?
Yeah, so that's February.
Yeah, so in 1 week, is it February 4th? I don't know. What's next?
No, it's February 1st.
February 1st.
February
okay.
1st.
So as of February 1st, I would choose one winner to get a physical copy of the author planner. And that's still so go ahead, tag us, share something that you really liked about this video, or something you learned from it, or maybe a question you have that you would like me to talk about, or Marielle to go deeper into. Anything basically to tell us that you've watched the video and something that you enjoyed from it. And one person will get a physical copy of the author planner, and I'll choose it next week during a live. But anyone who shares will get a digital copy of the author planner, which is also great because you can just print off what you need when you need it. I mean, the author planner is like, poof, it's 300 pages of 8x10. It sets you up for your author year. It is wonderful. Actually, I have to admit, it's 99% of the reviews on Amazon are very happy with it. A couple people are like, it's repetitive. Well, it's a planner. So,
yeah.
And there's also something with reviews, guys. You got to look at them and be like, do I agree with them? Yes or no? Yes, just go ahead and change it next time. No, be like, there's nothing I can do there, guys. It's a planner.
Yeah. It's a planner. It's like it's 52 weeks. Not much.
Exactly.
Not much you can do. Yeah.
Exactly. But the first 20 pages or so are actually much more in-depth, going inside, looking at what you need to do, checking out your author goals so you can go back when you start going a little bit insane and going, oh, wait, I'm listening to other people. Is this making me happy? Why isn't this lighting me up no more? You go back to those first 20 pages and be like, this is where I've strayed. Or actually, I've grown this much, but I've strayed this much, and you can realign. Which means as a digital, actually, you can just print it off. So if you tag me, Mariella, and share what you loved about this podcast or something you learned or something you like to talk about, you will get a digital copy of the author planner. And next Friday, someone will be lucky enough to get an actual physical copy mailed to them.
So do you mean, when you say share, do you mean share the video or just comment
Doesn't matter,
below?
they can share
And
the
if
video.
they do share the video, make sure they tag us.
Exactly.
Whatever they do.
Yeah, share the video, tag us, do their
Okay.
own little post on
Excellent.
Instagram and be like, this is what I saw. As long as you tag us and mention this video, I don't care how you do it. Just let me know you watched and enjoyed it somehow, and you will get a digital copy, and then one person will get a physical copy. Well, they won't get it on Friday. It'll be sent to them next Friday.
Yes, through the Amazon. Okay, well, thank you so much. And this is something that I launched this week as well.
Was that like?
Did you lost me? I still see you.
Yeah, you're back again. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
You just freeze every now and then, but maybe it's prioritizing upload, which is good.
Okay, yeah. So that's one thing that I wanted to share to sort of like round this off. Like one of the things we've been talking about, of course, is how do you do your own? Like what is your process? And this week I launched my 3-day worksheet on limiting beliefs. Which is part of figuring out what it is you want to do. And I will drop the link as well. You can get a free copy of that by signing up to my newsletter. And that is a new thing. Like I just did that this week. So I'll drop I think we'll have a lot of links to drop in the comment section below. So I'll drop that as well. So I hope for all of you, this will be a good start. If you're not already doing the work, to figure out where you want, like what your writing process is and what your goals are and where you want to be, so that you can sort of filter out the noise and just take from, you need that community, but you need that filter as well. You need to know what is for you, what is not for you, so that you can have the most productive interaction with these communities, the most constructive.
Exactly. I would say try to go from the inside out rather than the outside in.
Perfect. I love that. Yeah. Go from the inside out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is
then you
can
still take advice, but it's filtered in this way. But having said that, I still fall off the path and start getting sucked up in FOMO and hype and everything else.
So please don't think. Yeah. So don't think that we figured that we got this all figured out.
This is we're in the trenches with you.
It's a cycle. Remember. It's a cycle, and you get to the same thing. But you have grown. You have grown in the meantime when you reach the same thing again. So it's all about cycles and growth. Okay.
So means you can have
Sherrie,
any compassion for yourself.
Yeah, compassion for that cycle and for the growth that you do, and the looking back to see that you actually, because that's one step that so many people just skip. They only see where they didn't make it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's your
Sherrie,
field. That's the step you can't miss. But I'll shut up now.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like we could do this for 24 hours. I think we should do a marathon at some point.
Exactly.
Nothing food, you know. Hey, I want to thank you so much for being the first person in my series. And I was like, if I wanted to create a safe space with anyone, it was going to be with you.
Thank you. I'm really honored. Actually, I know, really, truly honored.
Yeah, but I was like, I had the discussion with Ashley, my as most of you know, my assistant, and she was like, I don't know who that is, but if you want to do it, I was like, yeah, this is the person. Like this, like I need to, like the first one, I need to do this with Sherrie, because I know that she'll show up completely unprepared and she'll just spit gold.
Exactly.
So I'm just
in fact,
really.
In fairness, people, she tried to prepare me and I resisted. I'm like, yeah, no, it's not going to work.
I did. Yeah, it's true. It's true. But I did try to prepare her and I failed. So I'll let it up to you whether this was in any way productive, constructive, and useful. I know it's long. I'm used to that by now that I do this. So, but thank you so much for this, and we'll keep the conversation going.
If they had half as much fun as I did, it was a great experience.
Yes, I had loads of fun. So if you want if you want a digital copy of Sherrie's author planner, just comment on this video or share the video, share some comments, just tag us both. Make sure to tag us. And
exactly.
Then,
otherwise I won't know.
You get the digital copy of the author planner, and you automatically will be in the raffle for the physical
Exactly.
planner, and one of you will get the physical planner, which is like
Yeah,
big
exactly.
and useful.
It's a brick.
Yeah. Thank
It's
you
a
all for
physical
watching and
manifestation of your goals.
I love that. I love, like, I
Yeah.
need, like, I have a paper planner.
Actually, I
I need
need
a
to
paper
then to tag. I will go back and tag that.
planner. Thank you all for sticking with us during the first interview. And I hope this was useful. Let us know how this, whether this resonated with you and what you got from this. Okay. Sherrie, my love, thank you so much. And I know we'll keep the conversation going anyway. So
Exactly.
okay. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye,
I
everybody.
will.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you all for watching.